Hello there folks, welcome to another Building with Blockhead. I'm on my own at the moment, but we might get some visitors coming a bit later on, which would be nice. So what am I doing today? Well, I'm doing some work actually. I'm going to be making the pieces for this pattern here, which is an 8x8 pattern, and it's going on to the side of an enormous pot that's going to be on display in the House of Dots version 2. So this is how far I've got so far, which isn't bad. I've done one side of 4 already. Oops. And let me just put the camera down a bit so you can see what's going on. Done one side of 4 already, and this is side number 2 that I'll be working on today. So there's the pattern repeats. There are 60 of these pattern repeats in all for each side, which is a lot of 1x1 pieces. And I can't do it in my head, but I can work out how many dots on each one. 60 times 64 is 3,840. So it's going to take some time, but we shall get going. Hello, Matthew Builds. Nice to see you, Matthew Builds Bricks. Originally, I said I wasn't probably going to do any live streaming whilst doing this, but this particular pattern isn't too bad. I've kind of got used to how it works now, so I don't necessarily have to be looking hard at the planning sheet at all times. I'll just have that in the distance so that I can refer to it when I need to. Apologies if I don't necessarily read the chat very much, but as I am supposed to be working, so we'll see how it goes. I've just been on GJ Brick's live stream, which was fun with Dr. McBrick and Greg himself, and managed to do a bit of work then without going wrong too often. Adrian O'Malley, nice to meet you, and Standalone Bricks, hello. Good to see you folks. So I should be talking to myself for some time probably, but maybe I should be humming along to keep the rhythm going of this particular build. So this piece is going to be 15,000 or more pieces by the time I've finished for one project, and I've got several more to do, so it's a good 2 to 3 weeks work depending on how often I go. So Standalone Brick says, how did I get the privilege of working on the project? Well, it goes back to January when the very first House of Dots was in production, and because the press release and launch was going to be in London, folks at Lego got in touch with my Lego user group, the London Apples, and asked if anybody would like to be involved in building the original. And about 6 or 8 of us put our hands up, and we did the original build of the first version of the house. And I've made a few videos on that on my channel, so if you want to see what went on then, just search House of Dots on my YouTube channel and you should be able to find some info. And we did that in a place called Uxbridge, all face to face, and it got launched and was very popular, and I believe then the house got put into storage and some bits got lost and damaged and whatnot, and so when they decided that the whole house version 2 was going to be new and improved and go on tour, they asked the folks that had been part of the build the first time if they wanted to do it again, particularly now as we're not doing it in person, we're doing it at home, everyone. There's been a phenomenal amount of logistics needed from Lego's part to get all the pieces and all the instructions to us, each of us individually at home. And to be honest, I don't think someone coming at it cold could have probably been as effective as quickly as we've been, because we knew what we did last time and what sort of lie of the land was. And there have been one or two queries with the instructions that we've received, but we very much know the kind of end product that we're looking for right at the finish. So for somebody new to have, I think that was Lego's worst fear, that somebody new was going to have to get on with it because we were busy and didn't want to do it or something like that. And I think the logistical challenge and the sort of managing people from a distance would have been quite difficult for them. But I think virtually everybody that was involved the first time round said yes this time. And so we're all kind of doing it remotely, which is great from the perspective of not having a 3-hour commute each way, which I did last time and didn't enjoy very much. I'll put the camera down a bit more. Okay. You can see what's going on a bit better there. So who else have we got? Ryan Lee Riley, hello. Ryan's hoping to find a lug to join in the UK. Well, the best place you can go for that is, let me just write something into the chat. Actually, no, it's easier. If you search for the Bricks McGee, as in BRICKSMCGEE, as in the Bricks McGee and UK LUGs, then bricksmcgee.com has a comprehensive list of lugs in the UK and where they are and how to find them. So I hope that's helpful. Hello, Peter Powers. So my pattern repeat's going pretty well so far. I say this 8 by 8 repeating 60 times on one piece of board. It's not too difficult to keep track with, but there are 1 or 2 more that I've got to do where it's nowhere near as regular. The pattern repeat is nowhere near as regular. There is a repeat, but I'm going to have to sit and concentrate a lot harder with those. So I don't think I'll be live streaming everything that I've got to do, because I've basically got to sit there and count the gaps between one colour and the next and that sort of thing. It'll be quite tricky. And of course, once you put them on, you then got to make sure they're all nicely lined up, because there's nothing worse than having wonky 1x1 tiles in your project. Many of you, I know, struggle to keep 1x1 tiles lined up correctly. Don't worry about it too much when you're first applying them, but you may notice that when I finish putting on a row here, I just run the brick separator along the edge, and that straightens things up considerably. With a project like this, you're never going to get everything 100% absolutely square, but as long as it looks good from a distance, people aren't going to come up with a microscope and look at it. So glad to be helped, Ryan. I hope you find somewhere nearby. Whereabouts are you in the UK? Because I might be able to let you know already. Got a rough idea of where they operate. So if you're close to anywhere specific, might be able to help out directly. I've got a cup of tea here as well, which is another vital piece of in my Lego mug. Another vital piece of equipment. You haven't quite spelt McGee right. It's M-C-G-E-E, not M-I-G-E-E. McGee. So that was a message for Ryan there. It's quite fun to see thousands and thousands of 1x1 tiles arrive in bags. I think for this particular project there was 7,000 purple tiles arrive and 11,000 of the coral ones. Ah, Lancashire, yeah. Well, there's Northern Brickworks is probably your best bet. You search Lego user group Northern Brickworks, then that covers a lot of the north. There's a lot of folks from the northeast in Lancashire. a lot of folks from the northeast in that lug, so I'm sure they'll help you out. I think their website might be northernbrickworks.org.uk, but you'll have to look it up properly and confirm that. There's also Brickish, which is an organisation for AFOLs all over the country. They don't hold many meetups, but they hold a couple of big, held in the past, a couple of big shows every year. One in March in the Space Centre at Leicester, and one in October, which would normally be at STEAM, the STEAM Museum in Swindon. So I think they do a lot of sort of virtual meetups, and there's a website and a forum and whatnot. But if you want somewhere that post-COVID does some actual face-to-face meetups, then Northern Brickworks hold regular meetups, as do many of the other lugs. But of course, at the moment, we're all doing it online on things like Zoom, which is better than nothing, but it's not quite the same. Is anybody building at the moment? Got any big projects going on? Also, make sure they're all pressed down hard as well, so they don't keep falling off to a later date. That one is very on the squiff already. Just concentrating at the moment. Oh, I've gone a bit quiet. Move the board over a bit. Peter says, have 1x1 tiles in coral and purple only recently been released? Coral, probably. Purple have been around for some time, but they were very scarce for a long time. I remember wanting some to finish a tiling project of my own, and I looked on Bricklink, well, I don't know, 18 months ago, a year ago, and they were very expensive, so I didn't bother doing it. But with the advent of dots and other things, they may well be more prevalent now. Now, these were sent to me directly from Lego, so you know, I haven't had to buy these for myself. What the general availability of them is, I couldn't really say at the moment. And as you may gather, these aren't anything really to do with the pretty printed tiles and some of the shades that you get when you buy dots, bracelets, or other buildable things. It's a sort of taking the concept of dots and, you know, the 1x1 tile and using it to decorate things in mosaic style that we've been asked to do here. So I don't know is the honest answer. I don't know how available they are to the general public at the moment, but they may well be a little bit more available down the line. I mean, it may also be for this particular special job that Lego had them made specifically for this particular project. So it might be still that purple and coral are quite hard to find or not available in large numbers. Ryan Lee says, have a massive Hogwarts mock. Also just ordered 200 light bluish grey 1x2 Boolean tiles. Boolean? To use as cobblestones. Oh, maybe you mean those ones that have got the little pattern on them. I know what you mean. That sounds good. Or expensive, depending on your perspective. Possibly both. So some of the other projects I've got to do for the House of Dots version 2 are going to be using plain old black and white tiles. Quite a few blue plates, which a few tiles that then get put on top of. So there aren't many, there aren't many that I've got to do that are very colourful like this one. The black and white ones are a little bit more mundane, but still interesting nevertheless. Yeah, the ones to use as gold bars, yes. Oh, bullion, yes, I know what you mean. Yes. The gold ingot pieces, I think is what the catalogue puts them out in the Bricklink, but yeah. Yeah, they work very effectively as cobblestones because they're nice texture for having a path that's a little bit more interesting than just flat tiles. How many base plates are there for it? Well, this particular project uses, for each side, there are 3 32 by 32 base plates and a strip that's 8 by 32. So one of these sides, and the 4 of them for this pot, is 40 by 96, which is 3,800 and something tiles on one side of the pot. So there's over 15,000 need applying for the full thing, and I've got 2 or 3 more projects equally large to do. So quite a few is the honest answer. I think another one I've got to do has possibly got about 24 base plates, 32 by 32 base plates. So that's going to be an even larger project to get my teeth into. £12. Yeah, that's not bad considering. Bricks and Pieces is the shizzle, yes indeed. Bricks and Pieces I find is random in terms of whether they've got what you want at a price that you like. Sometimes they've got what you want, but the price is still too much. Sometimes new things on Bricks and Pieces are more expensive from Bricklink than they are from Lego Direct. And the thing that puzzles me the most is the fact that Bricks and Pieces and online Pick-a-Brick, there are 2 different ways to order things online, sometimes have different prices for the same pieces, which strikes me as being very weird indeed. But there we go. Peter's still trying to finish Downton Abbey, Servants' Courtyard. So I started a few years ago, still trying to finish it off. Minifigs, that sounds interesting. I haven't watched Downton Abbey in quite a while. My mum's a big fan of it when it was on, but I used to enjoy the intrigue from time to time. But I can imagine that would be quite an impressive mock when you finished it, with all the architecture and the architecture of that particular period would be rather interesting to do in Lego. Ooh, mustn't forget my tea. Don't want my tea to go cold. And go down a little more. Quite therapeutic when you get going, actually. Just sort of zone out a little bit and keep going, but you have to be mindful of not getting the pattern wrong. I was a guest on GJ Bricks live stream a few minutes ago before I started this one, and when I first started with them I was chatting and not looking what I was doing, so there were one or two mistakes that I had to take the tiles off and repair before I could carry on. I've got more of a hang of it now. Yeah, you see, I've done it wrong here. Oh. There we go. Oops. It is a pretty colour, this coral, I must admit. Got a video coming out tomorrow morning, UK time, about the first build that I did for the Dots project this time round, including some live action and time lapse. So keep an eye on the channel and subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and you'll be able to see the first project that I finished earlier in the week. Any of you folks have any dots yourself, or is it not something that you've thought about buying? I need to move the pieces over a bit. Starting to run out of room here. It's funny, you line these things up and then you put another row on, and sometimes they go squiffy again, so you have to run them over again with the brick separator. It's a bit annoying. That bit there is not square. Yeah, I've got one or two of the Dots extra packs. They're quite interesting for getting some interesting printed pieces and unusual colours and things. So actually, there's some really nice printed pieces in some of the bracelets and whatnot. I'm really liking those. I've got all. Actually, I should be wearing my Dots bracelet today, shouldn't I? I got all of the Series 1 bracelets, but haven't yet managed to get my hands on the Series 2 ones, so that'll be something to look forward to when I next do an order. Ryan Lee got a deal on Dots at Argos. 2 of the animal pencil holder sets for £15. That's pretty good, isn't it? Because I think they were £18 each, or 13, right? 13. Yep, absolutely. Argos do some bizarre deals sometimes. You think, how can they possibly be making any money? You know, that's a really good one if you manage to spot it. And I've managed to spot an error there before I go any further. Sometimes they have some really cracking deals, and other times they're just like, can't be bothered. One of the best deals I ever got from Argos was Destiny's Bounty, the massive ship from Ninjago movie, and I'd been looking at it for some time. I think the recommended price was £109, and I thought, no, I'm not paying that for it. I really liked the set, but it was too big, really, and I thought, I've got nowhere to put it, and it's too much money, so I won't. And then occasionally I'd see a deal somewhere for like £65, £70, and I kept thinking, that's still quite a lot of money, and no, it's still very big, and I've got nowhere to put it. And then sometime last year, I can't remember exactly when. Argos had them for $49.99, and I couldn't hit the buy it button quick enough, basically. And I thought, well, it's still very big and I've still got nowhere to put it, but at that price I can't forgo. So and actually I built it a few weeks ago. It's been in the to build pile for longer than it should have been, really, but it's a really nice set and I'm really pleased I managed to get it for such a good price. I suppose the thing that stops a lot of people doing this kind of mosaic for themselves is the difficulty of getting a hold of as many tiles as they need for doing a large area. And even a 32 by 32 base plate, that's 1024 pieces that you've got to source from somewhere, and it soon adds up if you're doing it on Bricklink or whatever. Have I got a new brick separator, says Peter? No, I haven't. I haven't actually. They only come with the new art sets, I believe. So I'm using a standard teal one, or sometimes I'm using my special London Affol's branded one. There we go. But no, I've seen them, but I haven't seen one in reality yet. They're really thick ones. They would be excellent for getting large runs of this stuff up quickly if you've done it wrong, but I wasn't supplied with one when I was given all the bits, so I haven't yet seen one. I don't live in London. No, I live about 30 miles away from London, but that's still the closest Lego user group to London. So when I was working in London a lot, I used to be able to go to the monthly meetups. Now we're all at home, I can still go to the monthly meetups, which are basically on Zoom. Yeah, I like to have a big separator to compare. Well, yeah, it would be interesting, but don't forget, you could always put a 1x4 plate across the top here, and then you've got, in fact, if you put 1x4 plates across the top and the bottom of lots of these, all of a sudden you've got one that's 6 or 8 or even however long you can cope with. So it's not the end of the world. You can have more pulling power, so to speak. Oh, rats, I've done it wrong again. Must concentrate. I'm going to double check what I've done, so that, yeah. Because the quicker you spot a mistake, the fewer bits that you have to rip up and start again. And we don't want that, do we? There we go. Nope, don't need any more of those on this row. Looking a bit grey outside. It's wondering whether I need to put the light on in here. It's a bit greyer to my eyes than it is to your camera, so I think we're doing all right at the minute, but if it gets much more dim, I might have to go and put the light on. I'm not working in my Lego room at the moment because A, it's a bit too hot up there, although it's not so bad now as it has been recently. And B, I've got more available table space at my dining table, so I'm sitting downstairs doing my work there. Will my project join up with others to make a larger project? Well, sort of, in that we're all doing different pieces for the main house. Last time when we worked together, all of us would work on one project until that was finished, and then all of us would do another project and whatever. But this time, each of us individually is doing our own things, which will then be part of the bigger decorations for the rest of the house. So, you know, we've now got the responsibility of doing the whole of a tabletop, say, whereas in the past when we did it for the version 1 of the house, all of us would do that and it would get done a lot quicker, but there was still plenty of things to do. So this particular thing I'm doing now is for one item, but obviously there will be many items going in the house that other people have also built. So they're pretty good at organising the right number of tiles to have come. There may be a few left over, but they pretty much give us just what we need. So how many pieces did I get? I don't know is the honest answer. I mean, for this one thing, I had 11,000 of the coral tiles come and 7,000 tiles for purple come. But I've got several more boxes of stuff just over there that I've got to continue with. So easily tens of thousands of pieces sitting in boxes waiting to be applied to base plates. And it must have been quite a logistical nightmare for Lego to have calculated exactly who needs what. And because when we were doing it all together at Uxbridge before, you know, they have one big bag of whatever colour tile it was, and each of us would scoop a little pot and do what we needed with our local amount. And so they only had to have a bit more than the right number of tiles in one bag in one place, whereas now, because we're all doing things so remote from each other, they've had to calculate, okay, I need 7,000 of these and 11,000 of those, and make sure that that's exactly what I get sent. Other people will need several thousand of a different colour or whatever, so they've had to do quite a lot of organisation to make sure we've each ended up with the right number of pieces in the right place, which is great. Brick Bros, I didn't get them from Pick a Brick or Bricklink. I got them from Lego themselves because the project is for Lego, so they sent me the pieces to do the application of the tiles, and I will send back the finished pieces for the House of Dots project, which I don't know where it's going at this point, but it's going on a world tour eventually, so when and where will be announced by Lego in due course, I guess. But, you know, you can't get 7,000 purple tiles from Bricklink or Bricks and Pieces. The sheer quantity is kind of mind-boggling, really. So the only place to get them is from Lego Direct when they commission you to do such a project, which is quite fun. Now, I'm going to briefly have to stop and put my light on because it's a bit dark. There we go. And now my tiles have got a funny colour, but never mind. Hey ho. They look more orange now, don't they? But never mind. Looks like it was going to rain badly, so I needed to do something to continue seeing what I'm doing. Make sure they're all lined up again. What seems to be the ones in the middle that somehow twist themselves? It's really annoying. I don't know how it happens. Yeah, so the lighting I've now got looks like orange and blue, but it definitely isn't orange and blue. It's purple and coral. GJ, hello. About your bedtime, isn't it, mate? Yes, I was chatting with GJ Bricks and Dr. McBrick on Greg's live stream recently, and had a nice time there. But poor old Greg sounds dreadful. He's got a most appalling cold at the minute, so he's probably best not to start speaking to anybody for a while and just rest his voice. Just saying hello before bed. Has to finish mine in jogger. But, well, yes, you've got to finish your build, haven't you? So you can you feel accomplished when you finish something before going to bed. Can't leave it half done. The kids might come and have a look at it, mightn't they? We can't have that, I'm sure. You're getting a better view of the dots as I'm going further in. Greg says, you reminded me I must make sure I lock the Lego room. Yes, you're the grouchy man upstairs who won't let the kids play with the Lego, aren't you? Although they do have their own, I know. So. Thank you, Matthew. Yes, it is indeed a nice London Affol's branded separator. Little perk that we got when we joined the Lego user group. Oh, it's now started raining again outside. I was going to go to a hardware store yesterday afternoon to pick up a hammer for a job I've got to do. And just as I was about to go out, it started bucketing down. I thought, oh, I'll leave it. I'll go tomorrow morning instead, which was this morning. And I'm glad I did, because the road that I would need to drive on to go to the hardware store was very, very badly flooded, and all people were stranded. I think we had some flash floods yesterday, which meant there was about 2 or 3 inches of rain in an hour or something silly. So it was rather damp. But by the time I got there, about 9:30 this morning, it all gone. So I was right to leave and not go yesterday, because I would have been stranded up to the car bonnet in water, which wouldn't have been good. But I'm not complaining about the temperature, because last week it was far too hot, and now it's not too bad. Right, nearly at the end of another line. Move this anywhere further over. There we go. That one's moved again. Don't know how they twist themselves when they're just sat there. It's baffling. Peter says, will I be able to visit the House of Dots again to see the end result? We're hoping we might be able to, but at the moment we're not sure when it's finished. And there's also the consideration of going to the place where it's being put together as a group might not be such a good idea. So we hope to be able to go and see it before it goes on tour, but we'll see. We're not 100% sure yet. It certainly was worth really nice seeing it last time, so it would be great to see how we've all been doing for this one. So at this point, I'm not sure when it's going to be going on tour, so I would imagine they'd have it finished sometime before the end of September, because they want most of the rest of the bits that we've been doing by early September. But where it goes from there and when is anybody's guess. Maybe I should just record this and call it ASMR Lego dotting. Could become a thing, couldn't it? I should just sit here doing this. People pay good money for that sort of thing. No, I'm sure they don't. But it's always good to get to the end of a row or a column and realise it's all working and you haven't screwed up somehow and the pattern repeat's gone wrong. So one more row to do. Then this will be board number 2 finished. Out of 4 rather. To be honest, I probably won't go live streaming much beyond the end of this this row, so maybe another 3/4 of an hour or thereabouts. Actually, I'm going to have a brief rest. Ooh, crack my fingers. Do a little workout because it can get quite stiff if you keep pushing things down regularly. Let me have a quick look at something on the computer. Right. No rest for those that are being hired to do a job. Some of the other folks that are doing the project have got different shaped tiles. I think when we did it last time, all of ours were favourites was the round ones because you don't have to worry about which way round they go. Besides this, am I working on mocks? I haven't done a lot at the moment, but there's always my Ninjago district. Plenty of little habitats where I do an 8x8x8 cube, a little scene for minifigure habitats. And then, of course, my regular micropolis builds as well. My micro scale buildings to really enjoy. I've got to think of a project. I've almost got up to 200 micropolis models now, so I've got to think up what I can do for number 200 to be a bit different as a bit of a celebration. And there's videos for most of them already on my YouTube channel, so those of you who don't know my channel very well, there's plenty of playlists for both habitats and micropolis, and indeed my Ninjago districts as well. We'll say something like Brockville's Ninjago expansion. I did a lot of building for that and kind of finished most of those around about June time, but for the Ninjago stuff. So there's quite a few that I've built but I haven't filmed yet. The habitats and the micropolis I've built and filmed most of them, but the videos get put out every few days as a sort of drip feed, as and when I get around to doing the editing. And most weeks my channel puts out a couple of videos. Monday and Friday's my normal schedule, but sometimes it slips a bit. Sometimes I don't do anything, but if I'm particularly busy. The next couple of weeks, 2 through 3 weeks, are likely to have quite a lot of dots content because that's what I'm doing right now and that's topical. But there will be other things interspersed as well, so it won't be dots all the time. I think my next non-dots video may well be a great wall contraption machine that I built quite a few months ago actually now and have filmed already, but again the editing takes the time, even though you're not I don't usually do very long videos. It still needs a bit of post-production, so time needs to be taken as well. will I be picking up the Harry Potter minifigs in September? Probably not, unless there's something that looks particularly interesting. I'm not a particularly big Potter fan. I don't mind Potter. I mean, some of the sets from the last wave were quite fun, but I'm certainly not an avid collector of them. And I don't have to collect every single minifig. I collect the ones I really like. I can't afford to collect all of them, if I'm honest. So if there's an interesting character, I might pick them up, but not. I won't be going for the whole series. Won't be chasing those blind bags, which of course now are even harder to figure out what's what, because we're not really allowed to be feeling up the bags these days. So it's quite tricky. Although friends of mine from the Lego London AFOL's Lego user group we've clubbed together to buy a box of the Series 20 minifigures, where you get 3 complete sets plus some extras. Unfortunately, most of the ones I want are some of the extras, so I've got 1 or 2 of those coming soon. Almost coming to the edge of this bit. Oh, just another bit of progress. I'm dreading the time I accidentally knock these on the floor. It's not happened yet, but it's only a matter of time. Actually, where it's next to an edge, it's even easier to line things up nicely with the brick separator. I haven't seen any minifig bags in Tesco's, in my local Tesco's. I haven't been in there for a while, I must admit, but I do go and have a look at the Lego aisle when I am in there. Some of them are in flipping plastic anti-theft bag boxes, which means you can't fill anything, which is extremely irritating. See, I'm multitasking, doing it with both hands. Seems more efficient than just picking it out one at a time. Come on, concentrate. It's starting to go wrong now. Just not good. Anybody else got any questions they'd like to ask? The chat seems quite quiet at the minute. Do I have a favourite brick filmer? You mean people that make stop motion brick films? I guess. I don't watch a lot of them, I must confess. There's one called Pants a Hat, all one word, Pants a Hat. He does some quite interesting stuff occasionally, but some of it's quite adult orientated. But he's a very, very good animator, so I've tried my hand at stop motion in the past, and it's a very, very, very long-winded process that I just don't have the time for. I've got the patience for it, for sure, but I don't really have the spare time. So occasionally people say, oh, why don't you do some stop motion? It's like, the answer is, my life's too short, I'm sorry. But I do appreciate really well done animation, whatever medium it is, whether it's brick animation or claymation's one of my favourites, so the Wallace and Gromit type stuff. I'm not so into cartoon type animations, but again, I appreciate they take a long time to make. Is what I'm doing going to be on the floor, ceiling or wall? It's a plant pot, a massive plant pot, so it's basically going to look like this, and it's going to be floor standing. So the panels I'm making will be mounted onto an MDF sort of pot made of, well, I say MDF, something like that, and then painted teal colour, and then the panels that I've been doing are going on the outside of that. So it's going to be a substantial thing. It's about 3 foot tall, so you know, substantial piece of furniture when it's done. Another project I'm doing is the tabletop for the kitchen, the dining table, which I think is the one that's about 24 by, about 24 base plates large, so that's a substantial sized thing. But what I did, the first project that you'll see tomorrow on the video is a couple of smaller plant pots, which are much more manageable. I think they're 24 by 32 each side, so less than one base plate each, which is a lot easier to do than this. It was also sort of plain stripes that were 4 tiles wide, so it was quite straightforward in terms of the pattern. So this one's not complicated, but it's nice because it's regular. Whereas I know the tabletop's going to take a long time because it is a regular pattern, but it's not an easy repeat of it. So I'm going to have my wits about me for that one. Will the plant pot be real brick built? No, it'll be built from MDF or wood. And so these are the Lego stuff is only decorative cladding for all of the furniture. The previous house of Dot's was the same. So a piece of furniture was built with flat sides, and then we put the dots onto base plates, which were then basically applied to the piece of furniture. Now, when we did it before, we just had the base plates, so the white bit here, to put the tiles onto. This particular project is unusual for me because they've sent the actual piece of furniture that it's going to be, that's already attached to. The other bits of the project that I've got will just be base plates, separate base plates that they'll stick on when I send them back to be fabricated. So it's all a bit different. And this one is this one's quite heavy actually. It's surprisingly heavy. It's quite dense, the MDF that they've used for this. So 4 panels are quite hefty. I think the reason they won't be brick built is, you know, some of the furniture was actually made for sitting on and things last time. So brick building something that is sittable on by the general public is quite a tricky thing to do. Whereas making something out of wood that is perfectly acceptable and then just sticking some Lego adornments on the outside are a lot more straightforward. Hello, Tayshawn, nice to see you. Thinking of wrapping up in a minute actually, because I'm getting a bit stiff here, so I might stop when I've got another few bits of pattern done. There we are, straighten up. Now you could say, I'm getting a bit far away from my reach at this point, you could say, well, turn the thing around and do it the other way, but the trouble is, after having done so many repeats of this pattern in this orientation, if I turn it round, my brain's programmed to do the pattern in one direction now, and if I turn it round I'll start making more mistakes. So I think I've just got to live with the fact that it's going to be a bit further away than I want. Tayshawn asked, where did I get all those tiles? No, not from Bricklink, directly from Lego, because this is a job for Lego. So they sent them to me in lots of boxes. This is not a project for myself, but it's a commission for the House of Dots version 2, which should be going on tour around the globe very soon. I don't know when or where at this point, but there will be announcements in due course, I expect. So I had, when I first, this is one of 4 panels for this particular project, and I had 11,000 coral tiles and 7,000 purple tiles sent to me to apply to 4 different panels in this pattern. So we're talking very large numbers, the only sort of large numbers that only Lego can supply. About now when I normally go wrong in this pattern. I kept my wits about me this time. Tayshawn asked if I heard about the new Ninjago City Garden set. I had heard rumours. None of it's substantiated yet, but if the rumours are true, then it sounds quite exciting. I'll line things up again. So have you got an interest in getting the new Ninjago set, Tayshawn, or does it not fit in with your city? I can't remember if your city's got a Ninjago district or not. Nearly went wrong again. Picked the wrong colour up. Can't have that. Tayshawn says he watches the show. I'm afraid I don't watch the show. I must confess, I just like some of the architecture sets that the architecturally based sets they put out. I'm not bothered about all the mechs and vehicles and ninjas themselves particularly, but I really do like the architectural bits. Do I hope to live stream more often? Maybe. I hadn't done any for a while until July, and then I was involved with the 72-hour live stream, so I got kind of back into the habit a bit more. But I'm certainly not going to reserve a particular slot for it. It'll just be slightly random as and when I feel like it. I may well do a little bit more while I'm doing the dot stuff, but again, we shall see how difficult the pattern is on doing at any one point and things like that. So I do guest on other people's live streams as well, so that's also good. It's usually more fun when there's more than one of you, because you just sit here talking to yourself, which is a little bit strange. But I mean, I know I'm talking to you in the chat, but it's not quite the same as actually having a conversation with somebody else who's also talking at the same time. So. Hey, another repeat done. There we go. Just double checking I haven't got it wrong. Looks all right. Most of the tiles are ending up at the other side of the container, which is a bit annoying. It's twisted yet again. Should be glad when I've got this row done. I think I'm going to have to go and have a little walk then. Give myself a bit of a stretch. Sitting in the same position for a long time is not good for you. Ryan Lee says, am I watching the new show about Legoland on ITV4? Yeah, well, Channel 4, yes. I think it's Channel 4. Anyway, whichever channel it's on, I saw the last one, and I think I've set a reminder to record this one. Quite interesting to see how things go behind the scenes. Very long time since I've been to the Legoland in Windsor. I think it was the mid-1990s when I was last there. And although I've been very close to the one in Billund, much more recently, last September, whenever I had a free day in Billund, Legoland was closed, which was very annoying. So I haven't yet managed to get into Legoland Billund. Any of you folks been to Legolands around the world? And the other one that I visited was one in Florida in 2012. I went with some friends, which was fun. And another one done. Another one done. Another one done. Another one bites the dust. Move it around a bit. Put that there, maybe. I'm going to put it down and it will fall off the table if I'm not careful. Should be a very bad move. No. Peter says nearest is Windsor. That's 150 miles away, so I'll probably never go. Yeah, I get you. I mean, it's not 150 miles from me. It's probably a good 80 miles, which is still too long to go for a day trip, sensibly, because I've got to go all the way around the M25, the other side of London, which is not much fun. Which is probably why I've not been since the mid-90s. One day, who knows? We shall see. Danine says, oh, nice to meet you, Danine. Nice of you to stop by. Glad to know I'm not alone using a brick separator to straighten out those ties. No, absolutely not. It's a standard technique recommended by the folks at Lego. If you didn't already know about doing it yourself, so it's a good plan. The other thing you can use if you have maybe an 8x8 plate is also useful. That's a little bit longer than a brick separator to straighten things out. That can be useful. Any longish straight edge that won't damage the bricks is ideal, really, because it's impossible to put them on exactly straight by hand. So. I don't even see what I'm doing now. Just turn that around a bit. There we go. go. Oh, it's gone very wonky down there. There we go. Three more to go. Woohoo! Finished number 2 out of 4. So if I'm working away on my own, I normally like to listen to a podcast or some music or something just to keep my brain going as well while I'm applying tiles, which is a little bit easier than having to think of interesting things to say on a live stream. Matthew's been to Bulland and Windsor. Excellent. Which did you like best? There we go. Realise that my camera keeps focusing and refocusing as I keep grabbing tiles, which is a bit annoying, but afraid there's not a lot I can do about it. Peter says he's going to have to go. It's been great. Thanks, everyone. Well, thank you very much for coming along, interacting in the chat, and maybe I'll see you on another one sometime. As I say, I'm not really sure when that's going to be, but there should be a new dots related video on my channel at 8:30 AM tomorrow, where you can see me wearing a kayak helmet whilst doing dots. Not explaining any more than that. You'll have to watch the video to find out. How do I store different bricks? I normally sort and store by brick type, and if I've got a lot of one colour, I will pull those out to be one colour as well. But when I first started, I stored everything by colour, but it wasn't very long. Done it wrong. It wasn't very long before I realised it's an awful lot easier. If you want to find a small red piece in a big bucket of other red pieces, it's pretty tricky. But if you want to find a small red piece in a bucket of other small pieces, then that's pretty easy. So most of the things I build, I know exactly what I want, and therefore I will spend hours looking for them. Some people prefer to think, you know, sort of build by looking at what they've got in a particular colour and then deciding from there. But my brain works with shapes mostly first, so that's how I store mine. I have almost done, Danine, yes. Should be quite glad to have a little break when I finish this. Just 2 more. But then I've got to do another 2 complete panels. I definitely won't be doing those today. And I probably won't be doing them on a live stream, but we'll see. No, I've gone wrong again. Come on, woman, concentrate. So this is the danger when you're almost at the finishing line. You start rushing, and then it goes a bit wrong. There we go. Nice and straight now. The other thing I will do when I finish this particular bunch of stuff is put the remaining tiles back in their bag, because I don't want to be accidentally knocking the pot off the table onto the floor. That would be very bad. Oh, forgot to straighten those up. No! It's much harder to straighten them when you put some more on. There we go, and one final one to finish. The countdown begins. No, I don't want the coral, I want the purple. And there's particularly wonky. Lost my place, didn't know what I was doing. Done again. Come on. Nearly done it now, don't go wrong now. Disney makes another POTC set, do you think we'll get sets from it this time? I'm struggling to think what POTC means. Sorry. And whatever POTC is, I've honestly got no idea about the strategy that Lego has with regards to when they release things from which particular franchises, so I'm probably not the best person to answer that. Right, here we go. 6, 4, and the last 2. Hurrah! And we're done. Whew. So here we go, folks. The completed panel. As I say, that's number 2 of 4. So I'll have a break and then start another one. But I think that's going to be it for the live streaming today. Thank you very much for joining me. Enjoyed answering your questions, and I hope to see you again soon. As I say, there will be more dots related content on my channel tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning, and that you'll see another dots project come to completion then. So thank you very much for joining. Bye for now.